Welcome back to the channel, guys. Not talking about a Halloween or horror movie today. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Martin Scorsese movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Directed by him, co-written by him, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser, and Robert De Niro. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. One problem I think that Scorsese has with a lot of his movies, he makes them enormously long. Killers of the Flower Moon is pretentiously, excessively overlong. Right off the bat, you're probably like, well, he's going to give it a bad review. I'm actually not, because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, but I just needed to get that off my chest first before I mentioned anything else, which I thought this was a phenomenal movie. It's just the runtime leads to some pacing issues, and it just didn't have to be as long as it did. It's way too fucking long. At 3 hours and 26 minutes, this could have been shortened up. This could have been tightened up, and I think Scorsese falls into this trap sometimes where he has a director's cut that gets released as a theatrical cut when he needs to make more edits. And that's how I felt with this movie. I felt like I was watching an extended cut of this movie instead of a theatrical cut. It never seems like he knows what to leave on the cutting room floor. And I get that the argument is there that we binge watch hours and upon hours a day of TV, and he's even said it himself. James Cameron has said it himself because people complain that Avatar: The Way of Water was over 3 hours. I get it, but at the same time, man, you gotta know when enough is enough. We can't keep having all these 3 hour movies with 20-minute scenes. Like, seriously, the guy next to me probably fell asleep for about 10 to 15 minutes. Woke up, he missed nothing. We were still in the same scene, no shift in character, no change in plot, no change of situation, no change of setting. Still there. Just, that's it. Like, that should tell you that the pacing of your movie is putting people to sleep sometimes, and maybe you gotta trim these scenes down a little bit. But other than that, that's my only gripe with Killers of the Flower Moon. This is yet again another great Scorsese film that is full of greed, corruption, manipulation, gangsters, you name it. Robert De Niro is coming for that Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He's so good in this movie. This is the best I have seen Robert De Niro in years. He always seems to bring it when he's being directed under the caliber of a director like Martin Scorsese. He just oozed villainy in this movie. He's really the one who's setting off everything. He's the one manipulating everybody. He just oozed that villainy. It was just feasting off of him. From the moment he shows up, you know this dude means business and he is up to no good. Leonardo DiCaprio is also in the movie. I don't think it's his best performance. I'm not saying it's a bad performance, but I've definitely seen better from Leo, but he's still really committed in this movie. It was nice to see Brendan Fraser for a few brief scenes. The standout for me, though, in terms of the acting, was Lily Gladstone. She has to convey a lot of emotion. She has to keep a lot of that emotion in as well. She has to pretend as if she's going along with some of this stuff, even though she's in the know about it. I think that that's really the root of her performance here, and I can definitely see her getting an Oscar nomination as well. The story did captivate me, because this is a story I've never heard about before. This is definitely a story that needs to be heard. I'm flabbergasted how I've never even heard about this before. Like, they don't even teach some stuff like this in history classes in school. It's crazy. Like, I get you can't teach everything in a history class, but wouldn't you think something like this, like murders on a Native American reservation, should be taught in school? You know, having the government investigated and having these people try to cover it up and all that. I would think so. I would say the beginning hour or so and the last hour or so were easily my favorite parts of the movie. The second act is where I felt the pacing and the runtime a lot. But when you see everything about the oil, then the investigation at the end, that's where I was the most interested and invested in this movie. There's, of course, you know, your classic Scorsese outbursts of violence, and they're brief, but they're unexpected. And as you can guess, they are as bloody as they probably would be in a Martin Scorsese movie. It's sprinkled throughout, and that leads to a lot of corruption. And I always loved Scorsese's style, because there will be somebody talking about some like burst of violence, and all of a sudden you'll see what was just described. And I get you should show, not tell, and that kind of breaks that rule. But at the same time, if you don't show it, it's like you're missing out on something. And Scorsese has always done that. He edits it so well because it's always right after somebody's like, yeah, I mean, somebody got shot, and then it'll cut to that person getting shot, or it'll be like, oh, well, this person robbed the bank, and then it'll cut to the person robbing a bank. So you never feel like you're out of the know on anything. You just really have to pay attention to the dialogue because it is a very dense movie. It's something that, yeah, the plot progresses a lot, and there's so many power moves, Game of Thrones-ish type of, I don't want to say politics, but type of like backstabbings like that. So you got to really pay attention throughout the movie, as if the movie can hold your attention for its full 3.5 hour runtime. I know it's probably going to be hard for a lot of people, but it is. It's another win for Scorsese. I'm there for Scorsese. I don't think it's as good as The Irishman. I think The Irishman had more interest in it. I'm more interested when Scorsese does more straightforward gangster stuff. Not to say that this movie doesn't have the gangster stuff, because it does, but when he's focusing on the mafia, crime bosses, stuff like that, that's where I'm more invested. I think The Departed is by far his best movie. Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, ranks lower tier for me for Scorsese, but that's not to take away from how impactful this movie should be for a lot of people, and how well crafted it is and how good it actually is. Scorsese always takes the time to make the best movie possible, and whether or not that warrants a 3.5 hour runtime is up for debate. I think you could have at least trimmed off, if maybe not an hour, probably a half hour, but it's another win for Scorsese. I think Killers of the Flower Moon is a very enjoyable movie, and can get you through that gargantuan excessive runtime with a full bucket of popcorn. So if you guys have seen Killers of the Flower Moon, let me know what you think about it. This is a late review for me. I'm sorry. There's going to be some late reviews coming starting probably December till however long. I'm in the process of moving. I haven't moved yet. I'm still here for another month. Then I'm going to be moving, and it's going to be harder for me to access movie theaters, but I'll do the best I can, which is why I'm probably going to get reviews out days later, especially big blockbusters. Sucks, I know, but that's just the reality of the situation. So let me know what you think about this movie in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website and my Linktree in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.